What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's episode of The Nation. This is the Outlaw John Rocha here on the Outlaw Nation channel. Just finished up a fantastic sub from Ike's. If you guys have not had any Ike's subs or ever had a sub from Ike's, it's a fantastic place. We used to have it up in Burbank when I was there at a certain outlet. We used to walk over, Wendy and I, and get Ike's all the time. Great sandwiches there. So they fill you up, and they've got a magic sauce in those sandwiches that are just unique to those particular subs. That's why they stand out. This is not a promotion for them. Just saying, I'm here. I'm all full of steak and cheese. Is a nice sub for me on this Monday night. A lot of stuff happening in the world of entertainment, in the world period. So I thought I'd go live and have a little fun talking about it all here on the Outlaw Nation channel, on the Nation, specifically on the Nation itself. So yeah, we're going to get into it tonight. Tucker Carlson out at Fox News. Big surprise there this morning. Spat out Cheerios when I read that in the paper, or read that online. Really, I don't get the paper anymore. So surprised. Don Lemon out at CNN. That was actually kind of a micro surprise as well, because I knew there was trouble and back and forth, and there were issues with him fitting in on CNN this morning and all of that. So just surprised that he was let go. And apparently he was as well, because he got the news from his agent. We'll get into his reaction in just a little bit. Also, another person moving on from their former place of employment, but being traded instead, Aaron Rodgers, heading out from Green Bay, heading over to the New York Jets. For those of you who are Jets fans, I know Ed Haskell is a fan of the Outlaw Nation. Well, you've got yourselves a quarterback. Maybe he's got a year or two left on him, but it's 15 years later, and it feels like deja vu again. Brett Favre went to the Jets 15 years ago from the Packers, and here goes Aaron Rodgers to the Jets from the Packers. Very strange. Hey, Aaron, let me give you a bit of advice. Don't send any dick pics to any Jets reporters. Do better than Brett Favre did, and don't send any dick pics, okay? That morally corrupt human being sending dick pics, and now, of course, in a massive lawsuit, having allegedly taken so much money from the state of Mississippi. So try to do better and, kind of do your job in New York, and then roll on out of there, retire and relax in California, wherever you're going to go. But yeah, we got a lot to get into. CinemaCon preview as well. That is kicking off tomorrow. A lot of my friends, a lot of my colleagues are there now. Certainly Jeff Snyder can't stop tweeting about it. Very excited about the press room, and he's getting like Skittles and candy and popcorn and all this kind of stuff. But a lot of my colleagues were over there having a good time there in Vegas. Sadly, I did not qualify for press credentials. I don't know if anybody saw anything good on Twitter today, but I had to kind of drop an 8-tweet thread about my frustration with that situation, which we'll get to a little bit later, but also preview what is going to be screened at CinemaCon. Of course, we will get The Flash is tomorrow night. I've got a friend of mine who is flying up for that and then flying back the next day. Also, there are rumors that Transformers is going to be screened there, the new Transformers Rise of the Beast, even though Jeff and I were talking about it on Hot Mic, and they were saying, and he's hearing, and I've heard that as well from a couple of my sources, that the movie's a little bit of a mess and there's editing issues and whatever, but they're going to screen it. So maybe they have a little bit of confidence, or maybe they're only going to screen the best 20 minutes of it. I don't know. And a number of studios are going to be there at CinemaCon as well, dropping their stuff and sorry, I don't believe that, but yeah, dropping their stuff, dropping their wares, so to speak, to get everybody excited about the stuff they got coming down the pike. Sony Pictures is going to be there. Warner Brothers is going to be there. Disney is going to be there. Universal Pictures are going to be there. Focus Features are going to be there. Paramount Pictures and Lionsgate. Last year when I went, because Sony Pictures being there, we got to see 20 minutes of Across the Spider-Verse. That was like just all like not hand-drawn, but like hand-drawn like animated, the animatics. We got to see the animatics about 20 minutes. I imagine maybe there's going to be a surprise screening of that as well. And possibly I've heard rumors about Oppenheimer being shown there. So this is a very big one to miss, and it's going to suck, and it hurts. It's going to cost me views on my channel. And I would have loved to have gone, but unfortunately I did not qualify, according to the publicist there, that I did not qualify in order to get press credentials, and we'll get into it a little bit later, but there's supposedly all this stuff happening. So a lot of questions about where we're going to go with CinemaCon, what's going to be screened, what's going to be shown. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Yeah, the Sony presentation starts in 10 minutes, so we'll certainly hear from people about if they're going to show any of Across the Spider-Verse. I do know some people who've been hinting at things, certainly over at Slash Film. People are hinting about certain surprise voices. My homies over at Big Screen Leaks have been talking about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and some of the information they have. Also talking about Flash. And also, Big Screen Leaks did not get in to CinemaCon. That was also surprising as well. And Film Speak, my brother's Griffin Schiller over there at Film Speak, did not get in. So it's really just insane who qualifies, who doesn't qualify. Anyway, we'll get into it a little bit later as I go along. But little update. Some of you have been asking about the liver enzyme stuff that I talked about last week. Well, I took the whole new blood test, whole new blood work. We did a whole thing this past Wednesday. And the results came back on Friday. And according to my doctor, everything checked out and the levels normalized. So maybe I was eating something. Maybe I'd had something bad. Maybe there's something I drank or whatever was going on that day. But apparently my numbers are back normal. And next week, I think next week or a week and a half, I have an appointment with my general physician to find out, what might have happened here, what the situation is. Maybe some more changes in the diet. I don't know. Just little things like that we're going to be finding out. So just wanted to update you all on that. Also earlier today, Shannon McClung and I dropped our spoiler review for Succession, episode 5, that dropped last night from season 4 here, the final season of Succession, Kill List. An excellent, excellent episode. I like this episode a little more than last week's episode. There's some great intrigue here. Alexander Skarsgård doing a wonderful job as Matsson, and the way him and Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin were playing throughout the episode was great. Sarah Snook as Shiv, her stuff and how she was playing around with the deal and kind of dancing around on the edges of everything was great to see from her as well, and all the other characters as well. But yeah, we dropped our spoiler review earlier, so if you want to take a look at that, for those of you who got a chance to see Guy Ritchie's The Covenant over the weekend, I did my spoiler review for that. It is up on the channel as well. I didn't anticipate that many views on it, so it's still under 1,000. But if you saw the movie, would love for you all to go over there and give it some love as well. And I will have my Evil Dead Rise spoiler review up sometime tomorrow. I also might even go see Beau is Afraid and finally take a look at that 3-hour monstrosity and see if it's any good, and maybe do a review of that as well immediately as I leave the theater. I might even just sit. Where I live, there's this great theater here, and you can sit right outside on these benches and on these tables and stuff like that. So maybe I'll do a live spoiler review of Beau is Afraid from the patio there and just bring like a little mini stand for my camera and just do it like that and put it up on the channel. We shall see. We shall see. I won't be able to put graphics and all that stuff on it, but maybe I guess I can take it home and put graphics on it, but could be very interesting to see what that's all about. So just kind of throwing that out there for you all. So let's see. Jimmy Bones says, "Hey, John, congrats on your Commanders finally being sold from Dan Snidely Whiplash. Much luck to your beloved football franchise." Yeah. There's rumors that we're finally being sold. It's not 100% official because you've got this Brian Davis clown coming in with a supposedly $7 million bid that he got clean from, he said, quote, white people. I was weird, the things that he had to say, because people were questioning where he'd gotten his money. So yeah, this is the situation here. So we'll see what happens with the Commanders once the deal actually goes through, which it has not officially gone through. And, after watching Succession and the deal that is going through in that show and all the surprises and the bumps and the people messing around and trying to drive up the price and changing the parameters and including things, who knows how many more things they've got to negotiate here before the Commanders are finally sold. But we shall see for sure. We shall see for sure. $6.5 billion. But what's that Brian Davis guy coming in saying he's got $7 billion, which I just don't believe at all in any way, shape, or form. But we shall see. As we go on, to remind you all, the Streamlabs and Super Chats are open. If you want to send in some support, send in some love, make sure your questions and thoughts and comments get read on the air live as I'm doing the show tonight. So I'm going to go about 60, 90 minutes tonight, probably 90, I imagine, with all these conversations. I would love it if you guys could send some stuff in, send some support in. The Streamlabs address right above my head there. It's also pinned in the chat. It's in the description of the video as well. And in fact, I should probably kind of log into it so that I can see if any of you all send anything throughout the show. But super chats are fine as well. YouTube takes 50%. So just letting you know right off the bat, that's how YouTube's working lately nowadays. So, trying to get ahead. It's hard for a brother sometimes to try to get ahead here on the YouTube. So, but yeah, 118 of you joining me right now. Thank you so much. Appreciate it madly. Please make sure you hit a like on this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe down below. I'm trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's looking tough right now. I mean, we just crossed 27,200. What are we on our way to? 27,300, I think. So we're getting close to the 30,000 mark. So somehow I've got to get to that extra 20,000. A lot of people telling me that I need to do shorts, that shorts are going to be the thing that explodes the channel. So I will be focusing on doing shorts over the next few months. And shout out to my brothers over there. Who's my brothers over there who are trying? Galaxy Geeks. The Galaxy Geeks have been pushing me to do shorts, sending me stuff, trying to get me on top of all this stuff. They are such good people over there at Galaxy Geeks. So I appreciate them madly. And they are the ones who are like telling me, hey, do this, do that. And they're just trying to get me to do this stuff. I downloaded Crosscut to put it together. If any of you are great shorts people and want to help me out, and want to do the shorts for me, we can figure something out. I can't pay these massive amounts that other people are paying per month, but, I might be able to give you credit on the show, or I'll give you credit on the shows, talk about your stuff, promote whatever you want to promote, maybe. That's something I'm looking to do as well. But Galaxy Geeks have shown me how to do on the Crosscut, so they're like, get on it, man. You can do this. I know you can do this. So we will see what happens overall in that situation. So we will see. We will see as we put this together. But all right. So anyway, just letting you guys know that's it. And not jorts, shorts. Now we're not talking John Cena there, at least shorts, SHORTS. So they're awesome people there at Galaxy Geek. So just giving them some love and go and subscribe to their channel. Go and subscribe. They've got a new gaming channel as well that they're trying to get subscribers for. So if you're into gaming, head on over there. And subscribe for them as well. All right. Take a sip of my Diet Coke here. I got the Diet Coke. Let's get it going tonight. Lead story. It's got to be the lead story. And you all have heard this news by now, but let's talk about it. Noted right-wing extremist, conspiracy theory, or purveyor of conspiracy theories, and overall general asshole, Tucker Carlson and Fox News have chosen to consciously uncouple from each other. And this news broke this morning in numerous outlets. Tucker Carlson is leaving or has left Fox News. His official last episode was actually on Friday. The decision was arrived at over the weekend, apparently. Lachlan Murdoch and Suzanne Scott there, who runs Fox News, kind of like the Sid. If you watch Succession, the Sid for ATN, that's who Suzanne Scott is there for Fox News. But they came to the decision to let Tucker Carlson go. And apparently he didn't even know about it till this morning because they were still they didn't even know about it till this morning because they were still promoting his show on Fox News this morning. Yes, this morning, they were still promoting Tucker Carlson's show tonight, which I think is going on right now with Brian Kilmeade, that brainiac Brian Kilmeade leading the way over there. And he offered a terse one-line statement saying him and Tucker will always be friends. Oh, well, we can all sleep better knowing that, Brian. Thank you very much for telling us. But yeah, that is the situation there. He has been let go. And this is, of course, on the heels of the 780, this is like a week later after the $787 million settlement here. Sorry, the Coke went down the wrong pipe. Between Dominion Voting Systems and Fox News, $787 million. A lot of people immediately were like, well, Fox is going to renegotiate these cable deals and they're going to make some money on the back end and they'll never have to pay. All these articles popped up of how Fox is never going to have to pay. But clearly they are feeling the bites of this particular lawsuit. And you've got other lawsuits that are going on. Was it Symantec has another one that's like 2.5 billion, which is more than what Dominion Systems was asking for. Plus, you've got this former producer for Fox News, Abby Grossberg, who's suing them. She was on the Maria Bartiromo show, moved over to Tucker Carlson show, and she said the misogyny was rampant, giving all kinds of examples of Tucker using the C word, of all these things, plus those text messages, which we'll get to. But all of this is happening. And Dan Bongino, allegedly roided up Dan Bongino from Fox News. He left last week as well. So you lost Dan Bongino. You've lost Tucker Carlson. You're looking at Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham. You're looking at these other people. How much longer are they going to be on Fox News? And look, they're not going to change who they are. They're still going to be right-wing extremist, pushing COVID conspiracy theories, wondering if Damar Hamlin is dead or not, throwing that nonsense out into the wind. Rupert Murdoch even said himself in that deposition for Dominion Voting Systems, I could have stopped these guys from pushing the nonsense about election conspiracy, but I didn't, and so be it. And you know what? Let me tell you why. And looking at some statistics here, because obviously, I like to do a little bit of research for the show. I don't always just like to be off the cuff here. But look at the amount of money here. Tucker Carlson brought his primetime show, brought in $77.5 million in advertising revenue last year. That is far and away the most of any bobblehead at night, no matter whether you're looking CNN, MSNBC, or Fox News, or OAN, or Newsmax, as you go further and further down the chain into the 99-cent store areas of TV networks. $77.5 million in advertising revenue last year. That is not, something to shake a stick at. That's an incredible amount of money. And that is according to Vivix, which is a research firm. And just to give you a little comparison, kind of like, the size comparisons, Anderson Cooper's program on CNN was second with 50.7 million. MSNBC, it was behind Tucker, not second. All In with Chris Hayes brought in 30.9 million. Sean Hannity, probably benefiting from the lead-in from Tucker here, his show took in 50.4 million, and Laura Ingram's show took in 53.7 million. So that's the kind of money that they're making over there at Fox News per year on advertising revenue on those particular shows. So you can only imagine how much those hosts are actually making off of this situation. Tucker Carlson also had a bigger year-to-year increase compared with those shows. Last year, the show took in 10 million more in ad revenue compared with 2021, which was a 15% jump. Also, this show, Tucker Carlson Tonight, is the most watched show in primetime, averaging 3.25 million viewers in the first quarter of the year. And that's so that should tell you something, man. They went after the big dog in their yard and took him out. I mean, they essentially Joe Pesci'd from Goodfellas. They Joe Pesci'd him. They took him into the room. He thought he was probably getting a raise, and then bang! Oh no, bang! That's essentially what they did there with Tucker Carlson and taking out his show. So they issued a statement wishing him well. And he has yet to release a statement, tweet anything, have a conversation with anybody that we know of, or that's on record. And it's very interesting because Tucker, remember, he was the first one to interview Donald Trump after the New York indictment. That's the connective tissue that he has with Donald Trump. And don't forget about all the stuff that was involved in this Dominion lawsuit, because a lot of people are trying to say, oh, like I said earlier, they'll be able to pay it off in certain ways, in different ways. Maybe Dominion won't see a dime. That nonsense was floating out there as well. But you got to take a look at this thing. In the lawsuit, Tucker Carlson was disparaging his colleagues. He was talking shit about them. We saw the texts from Tucker Carlson, right? He revealed that he passionately, quote unquote, hated former President Donald Trump, and that Trump's tenure in the White House was a, quote, disaster. That's what he was saying on text messages after Trump had lost the election. Didn't have the guts to say it on air. He was a completely different person on air, but this is what he said behind the scenes. And he's also accused by other people of using misogynistic terms to criticize pro-Trump lawyer Sidney Powell, specifically the C word, and reject her conspiracies. He also disparaged some of Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and other people in these text messages. 2 days after the 2020 election on November 5th, Carlson wrote his producer, Alex Pfeiffer, and said, "We worked really hard to build what we have, and those fuckers are destroying our credibility. It enrages me," which was kind of based on the 2020 election and when Fox News called Arizona, correctly called Arizona, no matter what that nutbag Carrie Lake is spewing lately, correctly called Arizona for Joe Biden. He said a combination of incompetent liberals and top leadership with too much pride to back down is what's happening. And in a separate series of messages on November 8th, Carlson wrote, "Do the executive understand how much credibility and trust we've lost with our audience? We're playing with fire for real." And people who don't remember this, after the election, because Fox News called Arizona for Trump earlier than anybody else, conservatives and right-wingers and MAGA nuts were super upset about this nonsense. They were super upset that Fox News would dare to call something correctly that was against their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. And that ended up causing a lot of viewers to flee to Newsmax and OANN. So they decided to lean even harder into the right-wing stuff. And who else but Tucker Carlson to lead the way? Even though he had tweeted all these disparaging things about Trump, Tucker saw money. Tucker saw the ability to fuck with people, and then Tucker took it and ran. And if you've seen some of these clips of Tucker Carlson, some of the comments that he's made, some of the right-wing extremist, racist, white supremacy stuff that he's been pushing on his shows, it is unsettling to see those kinds of things and then understand that it's all an act to him. He doesn't believe probably 9/10 of the nonsense that comes out of his mouth or comes out on his show, but there's so much money dangling on the end of a carrot there. In his mind, perhaps it's a better way of life. Just make that money. Who cares if he's sowing dissension in our populace? Who cares if he's encouraging the insurrection that happened on January 6th? Who cares what he's doing? It's about making that kind of money. And that's unfortunate. And this looks pretty bad on Kevin McCarthy as well, the GOP leader there in the House. Remember, he got all the footage for Tucker to use from January 6th and gave it to no one else but Tucker Carlson. He edited that. He released that heavily edited video that made it look like, nothing was happening. They were all just tourists and only a couple of people got upset or lost their minds, which is, of course, utter nonsense. But he's the one he gave the footage to, and no one else, and no one else has been able to get it, the fully unedited footage. And now Tucker is out at Fox News. What does that say? What is the signal? What is this? How do you read this? What is the meaning of this is what I've been thinking about all day. Is this Fox News signaling that they're going to do a sea change? Is this Fox News maybe realizing there were a bunch of lawsuits coming, which I'll get to the other one here, coming, and Tucker Carlson was going to be at the center of these hurricanes? Did they realize, or did they figure out it wasn't worth the trouble, that they could eat the loss in revenue? Because look, if they got to pay $787 million and they're now releasing the guy who has made the most ad revenue for them over the past year or two, that's a lot of money that they might be in danger of losing. Why would they risk to lose more money when they're supposed to be paying more money to Dominion voting systems? Is this some kind of financial, legal maneuvering here where they can claim they're bankrupt, or they can claim they don't have a lot of money so they can negotiate with the courts to drop the amount that Dominion is supposed to be awarded from them? I don't know. It's all very interesting, these moves that are happening. And the Dan Bongino one, which you can't ignore, that one that happened like in the dead of night. I can't remember, sometime last week or a week and a half ago, in the dead of night. The next morning you woke up, Bognino's gone, and Fox doesn't give you those 2 weeks. They don't give you time to kind of say goodbye to everybody and whatever. They kind of slice it and you're out. It's kind of like what happened at Collider. They sliced me as soon as I came back on January 2nd. My boss the owner wasn't even in the office. The coward didn't have the guts to show up. So he sent 2 other people to do it. And it took us out as if we had robbed stuff from the place, watched over us while we put our stuff in our boxes, and then walked us out instead of giving us like a thank you or a party or an end of the day kind of festival where we all got together and reminisced or whatever. No, they treated us like we were fired employees and walked us out. And no matter how many times that fool apologizes or tries to text, I never forgive him for that, because that was such an embarrassing thing to experience, especially from another Latino, which was really kind of just a a kick in the face. But yeah, so that's kind of how they negotiated. Oh, that's how kind of they carried out this stuff on Fox News. So maybe they wanted to avoid any kind of revolt or any kind of issues. But according to CNN, quite a few of the insiders there at Fox are actually according to them, are happy that this has happened and are rejoicing that he's out. According to them, there's, quote, a lot of relief generally, surprised they had the nerve to do it, and hope for a culture change. And on the stock market, the Fox course shares fell 5% on the news. Now, 5% is not that much. So, I mean, that's kind of a surprising fall. I thought it'd be more than that, but certainly only 5% shows you that they still think the stock itself is strong and will bounce back eventually in all of this. And let's move on to the other lawsuits. I want to give some time to that as well. This is where is it? Abby Grossberg's lawsuit. I've got the notes here. She's also suing Fox News, and that's a massive thing as well. She joined Carlson's team after the 2020 election. She's an ex-Fox News producer. And look, we don't want to turn her into a hero here. She participated in a lot of negative stuff when she was on Bartolomeo's show and pushing that nonsense. And she moved over to Tucker Carlson's show, probably chasing the money, probably looking at the fact that she could make more money being a producer for Tucker Carlson. She claimed in recent lawsuits that there was rampant sexism and misogyny among Tucker Carlson's show team. And she sued Fox News, Tucker, and his executive producer, Justin Wells, and other figures at Fox's parent corporation. Grossberg, who joined the team after the 2020 election, said in a lawsuit that after her first day on the job, that, quote, it became apparent how pervasive the misogyny and drive to embarrass and objectify women was among the male staff at Tucker Carlson tonight. She also claims that she alerted Wells to some of the, quote, inappropriate and harassing conduct that she had to endure, but he, quote, brushed aside her concerns, unquote. And she's filed 2 lawsuits against Fox News. And on the Dominion side of things, Dominion was going to call Tucker first. And this speaks volumes that Fox settled with Dominion out of court and then fired Tucker a week later. There's a real line you can draw between the two. They did not want Tucker to expose the fact that he was playing a character and that all the bullshit he spewed is his actual lies, and own up to those lies under oath. You know, he can't play the Marjorie Taylor Greene card of, I don't remember, I don't recall. Other people have my social media, that nonsense. He'd have to actually answer the questions and not be able to default to I don't recall, because there's video evidence of him saying all the stuff that he said. So he would have to kind of come forward. And I think Fox News did not want to risk their business model by having Tucker talk. So they settled. And I wonder if maybe part of the settlement was that they would fire Tucker. I wonder. I mean, only some of the details were released. No one from Dominion that I've seen as I've started this recording has chimed in with their thoughts on whether they were instrumental in getting Tucker fired. No comment has been made, from, as I know it, from any of the people on Dominion side of things. So that's a very interesting connective tissue to make as well. What was going on here that was part of the settlement that they didn't want to broadcast, but that they knew was coming? Like, how far ahead of time did Tucker know he was going to be let go? It's a very interesting question. Maybe they felt it was too much trouble with Tucker and all of this. To go on further with Grossberg's lawsuit here, she also said that Carlson was, quote, very capable of using such disgusting language about women in the workplace. She cited some of Carlson's private texts to colleagues that were made public in the Dominion case, where he used the phrase, "see you next Tuesday," to refer to Trump lawyer Sidney Powell. She also says that she saw sexually suggestive posters that were visible in the workplace, facing, quote, uncomfortable sexual questions from John Wells about her former Fox News boss, Maria Bartiromo. And that should tell you something, that even within this pit, these vipers turn on each other. That's a culture of hate. That's a culture of jealousy and anger and vitriol and just fucking evil, that they would, even someone like Maria Bartiromo, who has absolutely just destroyed her name and brand and image as anybody credible when she made the change to Fox. Even the producers of another show want to speak about her in such divisive and denigrating ways. It speaks volumes about the kind of moral compass and moral constitution of these people to do these kinds of things. And apparently she witnessed, and Gabby Grossberg did, internal debates on which women politicians were, quote unquote, which one was more effable, basically. And that is just rough. And in a TV interview recently, she said that she considered the sexual harassment so bad that she considered suicide. And that is a horrible thing to read as well. She quoted a November 2022 editorial meeting where Wells allegedly said that they had the, quote, power to select the 2024 GOP presidential candidate, and that Carlson planned to, quote, save the Republican Party by resolving the epic inter-party struggle over the House speakership. So this is just fascinating stuff to take a look at and kind of analyze. And I'm sure there are going to be books written about this for years to come, breaking down. I'm sure Tucker's going to write his own missive about he was the victim and unfairly crucified. And I'm sure he'll compare himself to Jesus or something, some big historical figure like Trump likes to do, and push that nonsense through to people. So, big time shocking stuff here. So, Ed saying, Fox letting him go has no bearing on Smartmatic's suit because he's still going to be deposed and possibly called to testify. Yeah, that's very possible as well. And Jeremy said, I was surprised Don didn't get fired sooner after his prime comments in February. That's right. Yeah, for sure. So, those are all things that have come through that are just so incredibly surprising. Oh, Parody, thank you from Prade. Sorry, Prade Iyer said, stock market always reacts on what they think is good for the company and not on politics. Tucker leaves. Fox shareholders think that's a bad decision. That's why shares are down. Don leaves. CNN shareholders think it's good. That's why shares are up. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to look at it, my man. That's actually an excellent way to look at it for sure. Thank you so much for that donation there, which I think is a little bit okay. And then all right, there we go. I just wanted to make sure we had everything that rolled through in case anybody had questions. Yeah, the Streamlabs super chats are open, ladies and gentlemen. Please feel free to send in any Streamlabs super chats as we go along. So we'll see what happens with this and what the next step is for Tucker Carlson, because a lot of people are already. And look, last night we had the Ray Epps piece. I don't know if you guys saw that on 60 Minutes, how they've kind of vilified this guy and turned him into this lightning storm or touchstone rather for them to use to kind of defend themselves about January 6th and about the insurrection. It was a pretty tough watch, that piece, and seeing how they've been obsessed with him and how they've gone after him and his family and kind of wrecked his life. And I see the right wingers on social media and the stuff they say about Ray and everything. And they've all drank the Kool-Aid. They're all like been brainwashed and, just kind of, whatever they say. And, you've seen, what's his face on the Daily Show does a number of those pieces. And you see that these people don't, Jordan Klepper, these people don't want to see some of the facts, when they're presented to them. And I think that's that's what it's been my experience with people on the right, on some of the most extreme areas of the right, rather, not everybody on the right, but the most extreme areas of the right is like, no, nothing else but what Fox News tells me is the gospel. Whereas I think people on the left, even the most extreme people on the left, you can have conversations with them. You can't point stuff out. You can counter some of their logic, and they're at least willing to listen. They may not agree with you. They may not change their points of views, but they're at least willing to listen. And I think that matters for sure. Look, I know people are saying OANN and Newsmax might bring Tucker over. Neither one of those organizations has the kind of money. This is like, for those of you who know pro wrestling, Roman Reigns would not go to Impact. I'm skipping over Ring of Honor. AEW. Roman Reigns would not go to Impact or would not go to any of the smaller wrestling organizations. And that's essentially what is happening here. So he's not going to go down to OANN or Newsmax. I'd be very surprised because he could bankrupt both of those places. Now, does Tucker need the money? No, he doesn't need the money. He certainly could go if he wanted to those smaller networks and take a smaller cut and smaller salary. But, these guys are all about ego. So you're not going to see Stephen A. Smith on like a local sports show. It's just not going to happen, right? Hosting a local sports show, not as a guest, but hosting a local. It's not going to happen. So I think the same thing here with Tucker. Tucker either is going to, create his own network, which is something, at Truth Social is a joke. So don't even worry. But like Trump has been talking about doing that for quite some time. So there's a lot of options here for Tucker. I don't imagine he's going to make any concrete moves for a while. He's going to survey the landscape, let people miss him, and then he's going to come back with something really big that's been in the works. And I wouldn't be surprised if him and Trump launch a separate news network to counter Fox, to counter O8N, to swallow up Newsmax. Because I guarantee you right now, they could put O8N and Newsmax out of business if they wanted to. If Trump and Tucker started a new network, they would absolutely carve into the ratings for Fox News and crush O8N and Newsmax. Absolutely. Because more people would want to go over there and work for him. So they could be the AEW. If they started their own show, they essentially could be the AEW or old school WCW there and take it over. They wouldn't be the XFL, which is no threat to the NFL, but they certainly could have possibilities there with these if they wanted to do that. So that could be something Tucker would look at, but I can't imagine he would do that anytime soon. Iraq says, with all of these lawsuits, do you think Fox will cover the 2024 election? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine they wouldn't. No way they wouldn't. There's their bread and butter. They have to cover it. That's where they'll probably make their most amount of ad revenue, is covering the 2024 election. Now, that being said, it's going to be really interesting to see how they cover it, right? Do you bring people like Carrie Lake on, who's, of course, out of her mind with this nonsense, and she doesn't believe the stuff she's saying either. She doesn't believe a word of it. She's just doing it for attention, and she's following the Donald Trump playbook. She's an aging person who wants that attention. She certainly chased the spotlight, being on news and being on camera and all of that. She was aging out of what she was doing. She wasn't that good, so she jumped into politics. Why not? And switched from an Obama person to be a Trump person because she was chasing the spotlight and the money and the attention. Look, nothing's more addictive than attention. Not drugs, not anything. But people have attention, they'll do anything for it. And certainly she has an addiction to attention. So if she shows up on their airwaves and starts spouting the election denier bullshit, that could be a problem for them. So it'll be real interesting. They're going to cover, but it'll be real interesting to see who they get to cover it. Now, I posted something earlier today on Twitter saying the possibility is that Tucker could go to CNN. Tucker's been at CNN before. And since what he did at Fox News was an act, and we could clearly see from the text messages that he has no respect or love for Trump, he could go to CNN, be one half of a new revamped Crossfire, and he'll be able to bash Trump and support Trump at the same time. And I put this out here because CNN, since they've been bought by Warner Brothers, Chris Lights a little more, and Zaslav, they lean a little more right, a little more conservative. So I would not be surprised. Certainly, we'll get to the Don Lemon situation, which I think is also a part of the conservative thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they went and got somebody to kind of balance Tucker. I mean, you would do an Ebony and Ivory thing if you work some of that with Don Lemon and Chris Tucker. That would be so interesting. A crossfire with those two guys, because if you saw Don going at it with Vivek the other day on CNN this morning, that is gold right there. Those two going at it, laughing at each other, making fun of each other. I think people would watch like crazy now. Whereas when Crossfire was happening before, people kind of got sick of it because Tucker wasn't quite Tucker yet. Now that Tucker is who he is, could be real interesting to see a CNN Crossfire. And don't be surprised, don't be shocked if you hear that they were on the phone with him. Don't fucking be shocked. Trust me on that. Brady Iyer says, Variety report on April 5th on Don Lemon. The article titled, Don Lemon's misogyny at CNN. He's had multiple sexual assault accusations. Correct. Variety is seen as trustworthy. Do you think Variety's article led to his firing? Let me put a pin in that, Brady, because I will move to Don Lemon in just a second here. I just want to answer any of these other questions that don't have. Thank you, Wiley. Appreciate it, brother. Always good to see you, my man. Thanks so much for the kind donation here. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with Tucker. Is there anything more I had in my notes about Tucker? I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, we did have the real life Connor Roy, for those of you who watch Succession, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. come out on Twitter. And by the way, he's married to Cheryl Hines, who is Larry David's ex-wife on Curb Your Enthusiasm. She introduced him. He's running against Joe Biden. So, whatever, man. Hollywood, they're nuts. He came out and tweeted out that that don't expect Fox News to tell the truth. Oh, wait, no. He came out with his tweet and proposed without proof that Tucker Carlson was fired for suggesting that Fox News had promoted the COVID-19 vaccine to please its pharmaceutical advertisers. This is what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said. The son of Robert F. Kennedy. He said this on his Twitter, this nonsense on his Twitter. And it's just ridiculous to take a look at this stuff, man. And then anti-vaccine activist Dr. Sherry Tenpenny posted on her Telegram account, quote, don't expect hashtag Fox News to tell the truth, as they got rid of the only journalist that could not be controlled. Yeah, right. That's Tucker. Sure. Yeah, that's the whole situation there. He couldn't be controlled. So just these fabrications and lies and narratives that they concoct to cover all this kind of stuff. So, so we'll see. He's a major anti-vaxxer, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So we'll see. All right, let's take a quick break and we'll jump into some more stuff here, the Don Lemon stuff, and probably swing back to some more Tucker Carlson stuff as well right after this. I should get little commercial jingles that promote the shows. Maybe I'll create something like that. I think it could be kind of fun. All right, so let's move on to. Well, let me show you. I'm gonna take a drink. All right, let's move on to the Don Lemon situation here. This is a little more curious. Well, not certainly there's more mystery here in terms of with Tucker, but with Don Lemon, it's a very interesting situation. CNN is reporting that they have parted ways with Don Lemon, and the announcement came this morning without any explanation. Chris Licht, who made the decision, probably said, Don will forever be a part of the CNN family, and we thank him for his contributions over the past 17 years. We wish him well, and we'll be cheering him on in his future endeavors. Remember, Don was hosting a CNN this morning with Poppy Harlow and Caitlin Collins. He's been doing that for the last 6 months, and it has been nothing short of a train wreck, that show. Because, and I tweeted this out, Don Lemon is a solo act, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot put a solo act with two other people. It just doesn't work. And I don't know how they anticipated that. Imagine putting Tucker with Laura Ingraham and Maria Bartiromo. It would have been a train wreck all over the place. Some people are just built to be solo, to work solo. And I think that's the situation that happened with Don Lemon. They put him up with this situation, or put him up with these two anchors. And yes, he said, he certainly atoned and, well, not atoned, but he certainly owned up to the accusations in that Variety article, as Priya was pointing out here. That's all I want to, Prati was pointing out here, he was accused of saying these inappropriate comments and having the back and forth. And to me, I look at it like this. This is a guy who got in a bad situation and let a little bit of his cattiness out, a little bit of his bitchiness out, and his emotions, and his lost a little bit of control in certain moments, and he let his anger out. And that happens. Dudes can get bitchy, dudes can get catty. So seeing that happen, I figured it was only a matter of time before that show was done. I did not anticipate that they were going to fire Don. But remember when Warner Brothers and Zaslav took over and they put Chris Licht in that post, Chris was very clear that he wanted to court more conservatives. He wanted to court more of the right-wing voices onto CNN. And so you've seen more Republicans showing up on their programming as guests, as pundits, as co-hosts. They've been there. Right? Normally, you would only see them around election time, but they've been showing up more and more. And to me, I think they came in, they fired a couple of those people who had their own shows. They let Erin Burnett keep her own show, Anderson Cooper keep his own show. But then they moved Don up to the morning show. And I think they knew what they were doing. They didn't want to come in and shake the tree too much by firing a black man who had his own solo show. They could fire the white dude. That was fine. He wasn't as big as Don. And get rid of it. I forget what his name is. Brian something. But with Don, I think they didn't want to fire the black man and like kind of rattle the liberal viewers, the progressive viewers, or the minority or diverse viewers who were watching. And so they moved him up into a situation here where they knew he would fail. And I think they set him up to fail, to be honest. I think they knew how opinionated he was. They knew how he could cross lines and be an idiot. They knew the mistakes he could make here. And they put him in a position to make these kinds of mistakes. And if you watch that back and forth with Vivek when he is just kind of getting upset because Vivek is trying to tell him as a black man how to feel about race relations in the United States, he blatantly says, I can't get a question in with this guy because you guys are talking in my ear. He's talking to the producers. Producers talking ears all the time. So to me, it felt like this was on purpose. Like, make sure we railroad Don out of here. And I've worked for organizations who have done things like this to railroad people out of positions. And they get people who are beholden to the owners or beholden to the boss or the manager. They promise them things and then employ them to, in essence, do things to unsettle the other person so that they eventually leave. And I think that's what happened here. The situation didn't work. You could have kept him on and given him a solo show. The fact that they let him go, I think, was the big surprise here. And I want to bring up his tweet, Don Lemon's tweet here, because he sent a big tweet about this whole situation. And I want to put it up on the screen for us to read together. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. He says, I was informed this morning by my agent that I have been terminated by CNN. I am stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work I have loved at the network. It is clear that there are some larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams I have worked with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business, and I wish them all the best. Now, I'm going to focus on this, okay? There are some larger issues at play, all right? This is Don's gentlemanly way of saying that there is possibly racial issues here, political ideology issues here. There is something going on here that is at play that's larger than him. And to me, I think that's really important to focus on that sentence. Everything else is him expressing his regret or his anger, rather, and then him complimenting the journalists that he worked with. But this is the big line. It is clear that there are some larger issues at play. That's huge, okay? He is insinuating that there's something more going on here that we are not being told about and that he can't probably speak about, because one of those, on those contracts, most of the time, when you sign for an organization, they make it so that you cannot say anything negative about the organization. I wish they got rid of NDAs like that forever. I wish they just got rid of them and we never saw them again, because you should be able to be yourself, in this situation. So, Joseph says, are we going to see? Do you see that in the rundown, Joseph? Oh my God, Joseph cracks me up. Joseph, host your own show. You want to run it. He's always telling me topics to talk about that are not on the rundown. So that's the situation there. I think Don was great on his solo show. I enjoyed Don on the solo show. Yeah, did he sometimes cross the lines a little, to get a little too emotional or whatever? Again, I hated him and Cuomo, Chris Cuomo, doing their little like high five slap with each other and having their car. You're great. No, you're great. No, you're great. No, you keep that shit out of news, man. You talk your talk and do your thing. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that used to get on my nerves, the handovers between the two guys. And sometimes when I see it with on CNBC with Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow, it gets on my nerves as well. I'm old school, like, thanks, man. Moving on. Let's do the news. Here's my show. Like Erin Burnett does that. She's great. Thanks so much. Moving on to the next thing. Let's start the show. And I appreciate that. So I think with that, sometimes Don got on my nerves. But anyway, Don says, Don, now the CNN countered Don's version of events. He says, they said he was offered an opportunity to meet with management, but instead released a statement on Twitter, says the network, and they called his version of events, quote, inaccurate. So clearly there's some different points of views going on here. Certainly CNN probably is going to do a lot of brand saving to try to protect themselves against anything Don is going to claim. And I think they fucked up here because I think Tucker's not going to say too much about the Fox News situation. Certainly when Dan Bongino was left, he said there's no WWE war stuff here. There's none of that shit going on. There's no heels or faces. We just couldn't come to an agreement, so I'm moving on. There's no acrimony. I think Tucker's probably going to release a statement like that as well because they're probably going to take care of Tucker in the back end. Don, it seems, was given his suitcase and kicked out the door. And so it seems like this is going to be a tougher battle overall here. Don joined in September of 2006, CNN. He hosted the primetime show Don Lemon Tonight for 8 years and gained significant fame during the presidency of Donald Trump for his commentary. He called the president racist and pushed back on the president's lies. He's correct. But as part of it pointed out here, in February, he was widely criticized for his sexist comments on CNN This Morning, talking about Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley, her proposal that older politicians take competency tests, which of course is her shot at Joe Biden. Never mind that Trump's a flat idiot. Lemon argued that the 51-year-old Nikki Haley, quote, isn't in her prime, insinuating that she might not be able to pass some of these things because she doesn't have it all like she did when she was younger, which caused a huge uproar. And look, I get it. It's a massive mistake to do that kind of thing because someone's 51 is another person's 31. Look at Jeff Snyder. He looks older than I do. He's 20 years younger than I am. And he looks like he's 62, for God's sakes. I'm just joking. But yeah, he said this. And so this was a mistake. And then he said a woman is only considered to be in their prime in the 20s and 30s and maybe 40s. And his two female anchors, rightfully so, pushed back on this. But Lemon doubled down on his points. And then this, of course, was called unacceptable. And that Chris Licht had a, quote, frank conversation with him, and that Don apologized and was set to participate in formal training sessions. And Don said, when I make a mistake, I own it at the editorial meeting, and I own this one as well. So that's the difference. When Tucker was called out on his mistakes, Tucker doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down, even did worse things, went further on his mistakes. Whereas Don was like, okay, you guys are right. Let me figure this out. This is not correct, and what have you. And of course, there were a lot of accusations here that were made at his expense from mocking female co-workers and his diva-like behavior. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see that. So clearly it was something that just didn't 100% work. And in the end, we'll find out more about it. I'm sure people will write books and whatever. But he says, he's pushed back on some of these claims. And he's said that some of these incidents never occurred and he was never notified of any investigation. And all these things. So he's got a defense for the accusations. One senior executive said, as fast as you can make a rule, Don would bend it. And he had apparently there were some accusations as well. He frequently let drop that he successfully sued Tower Records as well as Chicago PD for racial profiling and didn't need to worry about money thanks to those settlements. Which Variety was only able to find the settlement in 2001 from Tower Records, but Lemon says he never sued the Chicago PD, and he dated a fresh out of college staffer, even though he was 41 and the staffer was 22, and he's Don Lemon is gay, and so he's dating someone much younger there. And there were misogynistic accusations as well. He called one of his producers fat to her face. And he mocked Grace on air by mimicking her. And she declined to comment on the story, but apparently a source close to her said that she thinks he's an ass and that he was always, quote, rude, dismissive, and really unfamiliar with the news content that was being discussed. So, you saw these kinds of things happening slowly but surely. And apparently this is just, again, you shoved someone into a bad situation. And I'm not excusing anything he said or anything he did. Certainly it's terrible what he said and did. But I do feel like Chris Licht put him in a situation where he was bound to fail. And unfortunately he did. So, all right, we got 195 of you watching me right now. Thanks so much for joining me on this Monday night. Appreciate it, madly. Please make sure you hit a like on this video, share it on your social media. More than anything else, subscribe to the channel down below. Trying to get to 50,000, want to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Would love to enroll you all to help me do that. So please make sure you hit a like down below because I only have 71 likes. So, Colonel Sanders says Rocha is such a good cusser. Well, I learned from Eddie Murphy. He taught me when I was 15. He taught me when I was 15. So that's how I speak about it. Trushka says, I sent you some news information that happened in my county that went national. Okay. Let me see what you said here. I can't watch a video while I'm doing a video. Tushka, send me an article and I could read about it. So Jordan, was it Jordan Klepper did the thing? Oh, okay. There's a Daily Show segment on this issue. Apparently, outing corruption. Yeah, if you sent an article, brother, I would have brought it up, but you sent a video. So Patrick says, John, later watch the Young Turks analysis video on Carlson on YouTube. The Young Turks, I'm good, man. I know some behind the scenes stuff on those people, and I never watch their stuff. And certainly, calling yourself the Young Turk when you're as old as he is hilarious to me. But whatever, man. He's in his he could be in his prime, I'm not saying that, but calling yourself young, it's a little weird. But again, you want the attention, you want the spotlight. That's what it's all about. But yeah, I don't really watch their content much anymore. I did at the beginning, but then they screwed over some friends of mine when they were making some changes a few years ago, and it left a really bad taste in my mouth. So I'm not really a Young Turks guy. I don't really watch them. I do watch who's the guy that became Sam Cedar? Is that the guy who became an actor and then became a pundit on YouTube? I see his stuff in the morning. I like his stuff. He breaks stuff down really well. Pandy Iyer says, non-rundown question, John. Sorry you don't have to answer if you don't want to. The Flash CinemaCon screening is tomorrow. Yes. Thanks for reminding. Thanks for rubbing salt in my wound there, Brady. I really appreciate it. You want to come in here, kick me in the nuts while you're at it as well? Are you excited for the first reactions? What are your expectations? Brady, I was excited to be there, and then they turned down my press credentials. So yeah, am I excited for first reactions? Yes, we'll cover it. Certainly, we'll do I don't know if we're going to do a Geek Buddies tomorrow, but if we do a Geek Buddies tomorrow, certainly we'll cover the first reactions and what people are saying. I was hoping to be one of the first reactors, but I will not be. Jeff Snyder will be. Christian Harloff is apparently going to be there. And I know a number of other people are going to be there. Some people from the HCA, which I'm a board member on, they will be there. So everyone is saying it's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to hearing what people have to say about it, but it's super depressing that I was not allowed to go. So sadly, I will not be a part of it overall here. Oh, yes. So I meant to ask Tushka about this, but I don't know if you guys have heard about it. So let's make a little change. I think we're done with the Don Lemon stuff. We'll see what happens. We'll hear more about it. And certainly, as someone pointed out here, there's certainly people who could spend a whole hour and a half on Tucker Carlson. I could barely do 35 minutes because it's Tucker Carlson, and I don't really want to say his name that often. I feel like he's like Candyman. He'll show up in my window in a moment here if I say his name too many times in a row. But yeah, let's move on to the story that Tushka just sent me. I don't know if you guys have seen this about the county guy, the McCounty guy, this stuff in Oklahoma. So this is in McCurdy County. The Oklahoma sheriff was secretly recorded talking about killing reporters and lynching black people, and also boasted he wanted to physically confront the local district attorney and threaten to whoop his ass. He also, from what I understand on these recordings, I listened to them about a week ago, was saying that he could find hitmen to kill reporters and bury them, and where you wouldn't find them. It says people have these holes pre-dug and they're just ready to get hired to kill people, which was really unsettling stuff to read. But this is McCurdy County in Oklahoma. McCurdy County Sheriff Kevin Clardy said he went to District Attorney Mark Matloff's office and told him, "I ain't no effing liar." And according to the Merton Gazette, which released the full 3-hour and 37-minute audio late Wednesday, and Clardy said, "I shouldn't have said what I did." He was looking for a place to get out of his damn door, but he said he was pissed. He's talking about this whole situation about confronting a local district attorney. He said, "You have a seat." And I said, "I think I'll stand." I was standing right in the middle of his door. I went over there to whoop his ass. I got pissed off. And you can hear him saying this stuff. And he was going to bounce his ass. That's Christopher Lee Willingham, the newspaper reporter. And now neither Clardy nor Matloff have responded to requests for comments. And they weren't the only people. There was a woman on that tape. There were a couple of people on that tape who were like agreeing and going, hell yeah. And one of them even had the audacity, because they're talking about black people. One of them had the audacity to even say, black people have more rights than we do. That is a white person in modern day America saying black people have more rights than white people do. Tell me he isn't a Fox News watcher and is absolutely brainwashed by that nonsense. Absolute nonsense. So just, you see these kinds, there's so much anger. Like there's so much anger that some white people are being called to task for these things. To me, when you go to that place where you're talking about lynching black people and killing reporters, that's no longer like, oh, I was upset, I lost my mind for a moment. No, that's a thing that's inside of you. They weren't even drunk like at 3 a.m. where you could say, oh, he kind of really put his walls down. No, they thought they weren't being recorded. And I think the person who recorded it was only trying to find out why a certain measure wasn't being talked about, or if there was an issue with it was something really small, and then ended up capturing all of this that was spoken about. And this county has only 20,000 people. It's located in the southeast corner of Oklahoma. It is known as Little Dixie, which may have been the the clue that certain people's sentiments about black people had not moved out of the 19th century or 18th century. To the Oklahoma governor, Kevin Stitt's credit, he called for the resignations of Clardy, Alicia Manning, who was the other woman, who was the woman in the room, and Larry Hendricks, who was the other guy in the room, as well as County Commissioner Mark Jennings. Mark Jennings resigned on Wednesday, and it was Jennings who was heard talking with Clardy and others on the recording about lynching black people. And Jennings can be heard talking about punishing the McCurdy Gazette News for its reporting on the county by having an old military tank drive into the newspaper. What is wrong with you all? What the fuck are you all so angry about? What are you so angry about? What are you motherfuckers so goddamn angry about? Fuck, it's amazing how much anger there is now, simply because finally people are being called to task for decades, dare I say, centuries of mistreatment that have happened in this country. And all people of color, the rational, sane, level-headed people of color want you to do is, and the LGBTQ plus community, trans community want you to do is just listen and understand and maybe see our point of view. And maybe don't do that. That's it. And for that, it's like, bro, you're attacking my way of life. You're attacking away. No. We're saying just listen, maybe open your mind a little bit, and accept the experience that some of us have had. Let us educate you on the experience we've had. Give us a chance to tell you the situations and what we've had to navigate and go through in life. It might open your mind. Instead, the people who complain other people are being victims and living in victimhood turn around and do the same thing themselves. It's just so confusing on so many levels. Jennings said he would, quote, release a formal statement in the near future regarding the recent events in our county. The other three people have not made any public statements, of course, because they're hiding out, and they've probably been told by legal counsel not to say a damn word. But on the Monday, here's where we're really going. But on Monday, the sheriff's office claimed that the recording had been, quote, illegally obtained, and it appeared to have been altered. You're right. Christian Jones of the law firm Kilpatrick Townsend, which represents the newspaper, insisted the recording had not been tampered with, and that Bruce Willingham, whose family has owned the newspaper for 40 years, did not break the law in making it. He's saying it's an accurate recording. And they've turned the audio over to the FBI and the Oklahoma Bureau of State. Now, the people who agree with these people are going to be like, oh, the FBI is corrupt. They're going to change all this stuff. And all this, what's going to happen in this kind of thing. And so, asked why the foursome was so angry at the newspaper, Bruce Willingham told the AP this week he believes they were upset by stories we've run that cast the sheriff's office in an unfavorable light. One of those stories is the death of Bobby Barrick, who lives in the town of Broken Bow, and died in March of 2022 after McCurdy County deputies shot him with a stun gun. The Gazette News has filed a lawsuit against the sheriff's office seeking body camera footage and other records connected to Barrick's death. And on Thursday, lawyers for Barrick's widow announced she has filed a wrongful death suit against Clardy now. In the recording released by the newspaper, the court can also be heard trading gossip about county residents and engaging in some body jokes, with Jennings suggesting stitching together some face masks to make Manning a bikini. What the fuck? This is how sick these motherfuckers are, man. In my opinion, you should record everybody, for God's sakes. especially everybody who wears a badge. Record them at every second they're on the job. Record them every second they're on the job, man. And I bet some of you will be shocked, or maybe some of you won't be shocked at some of the stuff you hear, man. So it's just crazy. So yeah, it's amazing to see how much anger there is nowadays in our world, and the unnecessary ways that people are so angry about these kinds of things, And I feel bad for my Black brothers and sisters. I really do. Like, I'm Latino and I'm white passing Latino, so I stay out of the sun, so I stay white passing. That's not true. I just don't like the sun. But I can't even imagine, what that life is like consistently and constantly in this world, consistently and constantly. People are always intimidated or afraid or scared or angry at Black people, like always, all the time. It is so inherent. And I think it's because this country was built on their backs. And it's so truthful. But it's always crazy. Like, who's the new guy that came out earlier today on, God, should I find it? I think I should find it. I'm going to find it. This is where I'm going to need y'all's help in explaining this. Explain this to me. Who's Aisha? You're in here. All right, Aisha, you explain this to me. I'm going to play this for you all. This is how far we've gone down the wormhole, where even Black people are starting to hate other Black people, like in ways that are unconscionable. But here is this Black Republican candidate for governor says it's Black Americans that owe reparations to this country for our freedom.
Some people that were talking about reparations in this country. They wanted reparations. And I remember I made this particular liberal so angry at me because I told them right to their face, nobody owes you anything for slavery. If you want to tell the truth about it, it is you who owes. It's you who owes. Why do you owe? Because somebody in those fields took stripes for you.
Wow. What?
Somebody, after those fields were ended and slavery was ended, somebody had to walk through Jim Crow for you. Somebody fought wars and died for you. Somebody lived less than because they didn't have what you have, and they did it for you. There are people in their graves right now, and they are there because they were willing to stand up and fight for you. Those folks on the Edmund Pettus Bridge carrying American flags, take that, Colin Kaepernick, living in a society that he could scarcely acknowledge, something that he has never known, living with a bigotry that none of us can imagine.
That's ridiculous.
Carried American flags on that bridge. And when they were hit upside the head with nightsticks and shot with water hoses and knocked to the ground, they got up and picked those flags up and kept marching. And they did it for you. Nobody owes you anything. If anybody owes, it's you. Because you've been the benefactor of freedom.
That is just absolutely insane to me. Insane to me. I mean, I don't even know the mental gymnastics you would have to do to create that. And look, it's a Black man. I'm not going to denigrate a Black man's experience in this country. Because if I tell you to open your mind to hear from Black people about their experience in this country, you got to hear from all, right? That point of view, to me, and he's got a right to say anything he wants to say, but that point of view to me is madness, utter and complete madness. And it's a gentleman seeking fame, seeking popularity, seeking notice, carrying water for the white-led GOP, majority white-led GOP. I say it with Byron Donalds as well. So many of them carry the water for them. It just drives me nuts to watch this kind of stuff. So I don't even know where to start with that. Oh, I see. Sean, you're in here. Sean, explain to me. Aisha, explain to me. What did I just watch? What is this nonsense? For God's sake. So, yeah, I mean, you owe them. And for him to think there's not that kind of bigotry, did you just let me play the tape for you of this McCurdy County sheriff and tell me if there's not that kind of bigotry still going around nowadays. Oh, sure, maybe you're not whipped in fields, but a lot of people still want to hang Black people and kill Black people indiscriminately and absolutely keep them from having any kind of strength in this world. And so it is absolutely around. So let's see if I got any Streamlabs, any more Streamlabs super chats. Would love y'all's support. If you can send some stuff in, would be very, very appreciated by me, of course, here on the channel. Let's see here. Jacob Riley says, what's the HTA you said you're a board member of? Also, Tucker's a sore on the rump of media. F that guy, Jake the nerd. Yeah, Jake, it's HCA. Spell it correctly. Hollywood Critics Association. I've been on the board for the last year. So we have our award show, a big award show. We have a TV and film award shows, and we have some great people that show up, great famous guests that show up and be a part of our shows. So yeah, just letting you know. And how can you follow me and not know about it when I talk about it all the time on my Twitter and stuff? Shocking. Empire Fan 1980 says, we watched Hidden Figures and forgot how good it was. If you could bring MLK to now, I wonder what he would say, how time changed and has stayed the same. I wonder what he would say to this guy. And because he was referencing Martin Luther King and the civil rights march there in Alabama and completely twisting the narrative, in my opinion, twisting the narrative about what you're supposed to get. Like watching the right wing embrace Martin Luther King Jr. and like nitpick certain quotes to fit their narratives is beyond hilarious. How they take the I have a dream speech to mean that, we shouldn't judge anybody for their skin color, which is missing the fucking integral step before you get to that moment, which is you make the society equal for everybody, regardless of color. Then you don't judge people for their color. And that's not what happens. And until you do that one step, you can't go to the next step. Aisha said, Uncle Ruckus. Oh, shit. I didn't think about that from Boondocks. Oh, from Boondocks. Yikes. I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about that one in a while. I love Boondocks. Shit. You know what? I should take a Saturday and just watch all those seasons back to back. I love that damn show. Anyway, all right. Let's see. The one in the future says, when you have a glass full of white stones and there's one black one, your eye will be drawn to the black one. So it's easier to be known in the GOP and it's all about performance. Yeah. Great point. Absolutely. Performative politics is what sells nowadays. That's essentially what Marjorie Taylor Greene does every day when she's on those committees. Performative politics got nothing to do with passing anything or approving anything or creating anything. It's all about status, attention, clicks, likes, follows, and money. That's all it's about. And it's unfortunate, man. Oh, I can't even with Candace. Don't even open I can't even with that, with Candace Owens. I'm gonna leave that alone. All right, let's take a quick break and we'll move off of this stuff and move on to some Aaron Rodgers sports stuff, and then we'll hit some movie stuff as well. I just want to get through the Aaron Rodgers stuff and then we'll move to the movie stuff. For those of you who are sports fans, right after this. All right, all you New York Jets fans, well, it's happening. There it is. Aaron Rodgers will be heading to the New York Jets. The Jets will get Aaron Rodgers, pick number 15 in the 2023 draft, and then a 5th-round pick, and possibly, I think there's more, if I'm correct on here. If he plays 65% of his snaps, they'll also get a conditional 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first if Rodgers. Oh, so okay, let me read this again. The Packers agreed to Monday to deal quarterback Aaron Rodgers and their 2023 first-round pick, which is number 15 in the draft for this year, which is happening, I think, in a few days on Thursday, and also a 2023 5th-round pick, rather, to the Jets for New York's 2023 first-round pick, which is number 13, a 2023 second-round pick, which is number 42, a 2023 6th-round pick, which is number 207, and a conditional 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first-round pick if Rodgers plays 65% of the plays this season, and that's according to Adam Schefter, who was told this by a strong source. So it's massive news. Finally, Aaron Rodgers leaves the Packers and heads to the Jets. It's going to be real interesting. Robert Saleh's got himself a quarterback. Woody Johnson's got himself a quarterback. Probably not since Joe Namath. No offense to Ken O'Brien. Has there been a stable, or Neil O'Donnell, has there been a stable quarterback? I'm not even going to mention Mark Sanchez. Has there been a stable quarterback like Aaron Rodgers? And look, he's only going to be there for what, maybe 3 years, tops 2. And like I said earlier, please don't do what Brett Favre did. No dick pics to Jets reporters, for fuck's sake. Keep it in your pants. But this is a good move for the Packers to get rid of him. They clearly wanted to get rid of him. Aaron is already changing the narrative or twisting the narrative, saying, I came out of my darkness retreat and Green Bay wasn't there. And Green Bay's like, bitch, we've been trying to call you and text you. You didn't respond back. We've been there. You haven't responded back. And he clearly wanted to go play on the Jets and played his power move on Pat McAfee's show. And now it's happening. So it's big news. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Here we go again, Packers fans. You've got a former quarterback going to the Jets. We'll see what's happening. He's going to be in New England. He's going to be in that same conference with New England and Miami. And who else is in that conference? New England, Miami, the Jets. Who else? Who's the fourth one? I always forget the fourth one. New England, Miami, the Jets. No, I can't think of it right now. Someone let me know. But yeah, he's going there. So it's going to be a very interesting situation there with Aaron Rodgers in the New York Jets. Buffalo, that's right. Jesus, I'm going to forget the Bills. Bills Mafia. That's right. Buffalo. I always forget about Buffalo. Speaking of Buffalo, some interesting stuff with Josh Allen's girlfriend, but we'll leave it alone. But this stuff here is a smart move for Rodgers, I think. Get out of Green Bay. It just wasn't happening there. Maybe he'll get a Peyton Manning ride to the Super Bowl, get one more Super Bowl win before he rides off in the sunset. And why not give the Jets a Super Bowl victory, a long-suffering franchise that has not won a Super Bowl since Super Bowl III, ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl III, which is kind of crazy to think about. That I think that's just a little while in the 1960s or whatever. So it's just crazy, that situation. So we shall see what happens with them. But shout out to Aaron Rodgers. Go and do your thing, son. All right, let's move on to some box office stuff. I want to hit this real quick with Mario Brothers and with Evil Dead Rise. Pretty incredible stuff. Super Mario Brothers won its third weekend in a row at the box office. Look, a lot of these critics, fellow critics, came out and bashed this movie. I've seen the movie twice and I've enjoyed it both times. It's really a lot of fun, this movie. And I know some people didn't like the story, didn't like this or that, but already we heard just a couple days ago that Peaches, the Jack Black song in the movie, will be nominated for, will be eligible to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Song. And now Super Mario Brothers movie, it won this past weekend, its third weekend at the box office, also crossed $400 million domestically. It made another $58.2 million, only down 37% from last weekend. And the song from Jack Black of Peaches, it landed on the Billboard Hot 100, which is the first time any song from Jack Black has landed on the Billboard Hot 100 with 15 million streams. The total domestic right now, the domestic total for Super Mario Brothers movie is $434.3 million, which is better than all but two movies that were released in 2022. And next week, apparently, it will pass, in the next couple of days, it will pass Black Panther Wakanda Forever. It made another $70.7 million overseas, which brings its international total to $437.5 million. So you combine that with the domestic total, and it is sitting at $871 million globally. It is so close to $1 billion that at this point, there's no way it's not going to cross $1 billion. There's just no conceivable way that Super Mario Brothers movie doesn't, unless all the theaters blow up tomorrow, there's no way it's not crossing $1 billion. In fact, I may go see it again. I'll pay money to go see it again just to kind of help it cross $1 billion because I really enjoyed the movie and I think it deserves it. So shout out to them. Shout out to everybody involved. Clearly, we'll be getting a sequel. And I hope to see more. I hope to see spinoffs. As I said before, if you've watched my spoiler review, my 20-minute spoiler review on the channel, I want to see a spinoff with the Kong Land, with Donkey Kong and with his dad, voiced by the great Fred Armisen. By the way, how many of y'all saw Barry last night? Fred Armisen's cameo in Barry. That was some hilarious ass shit, man. So so I love Fred Armisen and great to see him doing what he's doing. And so, yeah, I'd be very curious to see if there's a spinoff with Kongland and let Seth Rogen lead one of these as a spinoff with Mario, maybe being a recurring character or coming in for a scene or two. That could be a lot of fun. Or Princess Peach, maybe. So anyway, let's move on to Evil Dead Rise, which I also saw and had a fucking great time with this. I couldn't believe I was so ready to hate this movie. I was like, man, this is going to be one of those small horror films that is a terrible story, a stupid script, bad acting. None of those things happened in this movie. I was so surprised. And I'll have a more in-depth spoiler review tomorrow on this movie, but I was so surprised at how well the movie did. It did $2.5 million on Thursday. Then it did $10.3 million on opening Friday, and then brought in an estimated $23.5 million to take second place. I guarantee you would have won the weekend if Mario wasn't out. $23.5 million to take second place. And audiences only gave the movie a B cinema score, but that was also the same score as Megan. So, maybe audiences wanted something more, but the critics were all over it. And the fact that it made that much money, I think, is a very positive sign for that movie. I was thinking to myself that it might be time to write a horror movie. Because, you don't need that much to make it. If you get the right people involved in it, you can get it done. And, man, start counting that cash. So we'll see. We'll see. If you create something that's intelligent, that's fun, that's scary as fuck, and that makes people think like this movie does, then there are great possibilities. Plus, the way this movie messes with heaven and hell in some of their stuff is really unsettling and scary for a guy like me that grew up Catholic. It is unsettling stuff to watch. Even though I'm not practicing Catholic anymore, seeing that stuff is ingrained in my body. So seeing anything that messes with heaven and hell kind of messes with me as well. And yeah, director Lee Cronin did a great job here at writing and directing it. Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan. I know Alyssa Sutherland does a good job. That's the funner role, the showier role, to be taken over by a demon and have fun with it. So she's having a blast and doing a great job. But I really liked Lily Sullivan. She really anchored that film with her connection with her sister, who Alyssa Sutherland plays, and her trying to save as many as people as possible from Alyssa Sutherland and the demon that has taken her over. It is incredible stuff, dude. The visual effects are fantastic. The horror moments are great. The jump scares work. The gore is all over the place. And certainly leave you with a feeling that there could be much more. And I think Lee Cronin came out today and said there are going to be more installments, or he's written more installments. Another fantastic movie that's out now, and I just did my review and put it up yesterday, is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Jake Gyllenhaal doing a fantastic job here in this movie as Sergeant John McKinley is his name, who is a soldier there in the Afghanistan war, and he approves of this Afghani person to be his interpreter because he's trying to hunt down the Taliban. The American military trying to hunt down the Taliban. Dar Salim plays the interpreter. Dar Salim is the reason to watch this movie. You've seen Jake deliver fantastic, powerful performances that are vulnerable and interesting, and you can't take your eyes. Dynamics, you can't take your eyes off of him. But Dar Salim is the star of this movie. He is so good, and I haven't seen him in anything that I can remember. So he was like a new actor to me, seeing him up on the screen, and the presence, the command, the strength, the spine, the back and forth, all of it in his performance, the confidence of his performance, I guess is what I'm getting at. The confidence of his performance was incredible to watch. And so I highly recommend it. It's a good movie. And there's no Guy Ritchie-isms in the movie. Really, you would not be able to tell that Guy Ritchie directed this movie. If no one told you who directed the movie, you would have never guessed Guy Ritchie in a million years. And I think that speaks volumes about how much he's progressing as a filmmaker and the chances he's taking. I liked Wrath of Man a lot. And I like this movie. I like The Gentleman a lot, which, yes, it was a British gangster film, but it was a new approach to his British gangster stuff that I hadn't seen before, which I think really worked. I haven't seen Operation Fortune, so I should give that a chance. Since I've liked everything he's done here for the last 5 movies I've really enjoyed, I should give that one a chance. But that one has a 98% audience score, 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know who didn't like it. But it opened with only 2.3 million and 6.3 million for the weekend, but it got an A cinema score. So that, to me, that is a thing people should be taking a look at. So if you're looking for something to go see, I highly recommend Evil Dead Rise if you're in the mood for a very gory horror film that also has conversations about family and the commitment to family and telling the truth and all this kind of stuff. Mom, children stuff. I don't want to give away too much. Sibling rivalry stuff. And The Covenant. Those are two that you should go see. And if you haven't seen Super Mario Brothers, what the hell are you doing? Go and enjoy yourself for an hour and 30 minutes, hour and 40 minutes, and have some fun with that as well. Oh, yeah. And Air, sure. Absolutely, Sean. Everyone should go see Air. It's a great movie. Also, Tetris is very good. Yeah, I haven't watched Tetris yet, so I need to watch Tetris on Apple. I almost watched it today this afternoon because I had about an hour. I was going to maybe start it, but then the puppies came over. My girlfriend's sister's puppies came over, and we played with them for like 45 minutes. So I apologize. I couldn't do that, but yeah. All right. And one final thing. Yeah. So what should we talk about with CinemaCon? Do I have any Streamlabs or super chats? Oh, thank you very much, Philly G. Much love to you, brother, man. Thank you so much. Doug Developer says, hey, John, just missed the show. Well, the show's still going, brother. So I just want to say about Lemon's firing. He was one of a few at CNN to push back against his guests. Yeah. I think CNN, like Fox, secretly wants Trump to win their absurd both sides nonsense. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. All these news companies made money from the anger against Trump. But just like we're seeing now with the WWE and the Bloodline, Roman Reigns winning, all of a sudden people are not so happy anymore because they enjoyed it for what it was and they thought there was going to be an ending. With Trump now, if he comes back, I think it's going to be World War III. No doubt. I think we'll have a civil war in this country. No doubt. I don't know if you guys saw the reports, but more people of color and more women are buying guns than ever before. That tells you right there that people sense something is coming. People sense it in the air that something is coming. And it's so sad. I mean, when that happens, and it will happen, y'all, I'm going to be so heartbroken when it happens. No one's going to give a fuck who the fuck Batman is, or if the Flash movie is good, if this shit breaks out. It's going to be the farthest thing from our fucking minds. And it's going to be crazy. And I hope it doesn't happen, but we're getting closer and closer every fucking day. And it scares me. As the rhetoric ramps up, it's scary to think about where we're going to go, because who is going to fill that void now that Tucker is gone? Crazier and crazier people are going to try to make that money that Tucker made, and people who don't give a fuck about America, honestly, and only care about fomenting rage and making money off that rage. And that scares the living shit out of me for sure. So thank you, Doug. I appreciate it. You're right. Don pushed back. And I told you, it's conservative owners. And yeah, it isn't like Don didn't do stuff that was bad like this. You know, certainly the way he talked to women and the way he talked down to them, certainly that kind of stuff. Some other accusations here. Those are not good things, 100%. But I also think he wasn't long for CNN because they were trying to fix the situation so that he would get upset eventually and leave. So they got what they wanted. And sometimes you have to be aware of when that stuff is happening and just kind of maybe take your own steps to get the hell out of that situation. But, maybe you wanted to wait for them to fire him so he can collect his unemployment and make that money. And there's nothing wrong with that. Live your life as you see. So we're getting reports here already from CinemaCon. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence were on stage teasing Bad Boys 4. They said they're hyped. Remember, Jeff and I have broken some scoops about Bad Boys 4 that other people took credit for later, about Eric Dane being the villain. And they were on video, apparently. Smith said, we're hyped. We're excited. He apologized for not being in Las Vegas. Lawrence said, we're not sorry. We're not sorry. We're not sorry we couldn't be there because they are 4 weeks into filming the film. We're glad we're not there because we're here and they're paying us to be here. So funny stuff from there, from those guys as well. So, we'll see in this situation with Bad Boys what's going to happen. But nice to see that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence back together and talking about this kind of stuff. So big ups to both of them, as my man Phil might say. Big ups here from London. Jim Fond. Hey, Jim, what's up? Jim Fan says, hey, John, saw your tweets about CinemaCon. They're lost for not having you. Been with you since Collider and love seeing your growth in the industry. The Outlaw Nation. Side note, I'm seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 this weekend at an early screening. So excited. Cheers. Oh, thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. Yeah, I tweeted this out about my CinemaCon stuff because I found out from an email today that my last attempts to get into CinemaCon were turned down. I got an email this morning telling me that. And so I tweeted this out, and some of you may not have seen it, and I'll just kind of read it my way so I don't, so there's no false interpretations of how I mean this to go. So I said, well, I will not be attending CinemaCon this year. As an up-and-coming outlet run by a first-generation American Latino, I did not qualify under the mysterious guidelines they have for press credentials. Perhaps they had already hit their diversity quota before I was considered for press qualifications. Who knows? I don't, and I'll tell you why. I sent numerous emails since March asking for clarification about why I was turned down and what I can do to qualify for next year. I wanted to give CinemaCon the chance to guide me here Finally, I got an email today, weeks later, with no specific reason for why I was turned down and no goals that I can strive to achieve so I might qualify for next year. You know, something Christian Harloff counseled me on when I said those stupid things on the Top 10 show about Hector and about Danny, how I was jealous that they were getting stuff. And he schooled me. He said, dude, don't talk about being jealous. Go to those people who hire those people and say to them, what can I do to be hired? What can I do to get you to look at my stuff? What can I do to be considered for these opportunities in the future? That's a more proactive way than sitting there on the sideline and crying. So to me, I sent numerous emails to the people, to the publicists involved here and a couple of people that were there that they're on the contact lists. They're on the website. And I asked them, I said straight up, like, hey, this is the deal. I listed my accomplishments. I said, I just want to know why I wasn't qualified for this so I can look at what I can do in the future, what I can strive for, so that you guys will look at my credentials favorably next year and approve me. But I heard nothing back from them for weeks until I got an email today. And that was after my fourth or fifth email that I sent them about this situation. Or was it third or fourth email that I sent them about this situation? She said they sent a standard, we're not able to accommodate everyone response. Yeah, we have limited capacity. As much as I would love to accommodate all out to apply, unfortunately, we do have limited capacity. This year, we received an unprecedented number of requests from outlets around the globe, and we had to make some difficult decisions in balancing the press that we credentialed for the show, including accommodating as many new outlets as possible. That's me, a new outlet in their minds, supporting outlets that have covered the event in the past, and credentialing outlets from many different parts of the world, all while trying to ensure a positive experience for all media and attendance. We appreciate your understanding. Best regard. Now, it's funny when they say that, to ensure a positive experience for all media and attendance, when you think about the fact that there are some people going who have been accused of sexual assault, who have numerous times, who have done some nefarious shit, who have broken embargoes on studios and for their own personal gain, but there they are at CinemaCon. So somehow yet I didn't qualify for any of this stuff as a new outlet. I saw another person qualify as a new outlet in essence. I saw people with way less followers than me, way less clicks and views on their content than me who got qualified. So I was simply asking, why? What can I do? What was I missing? What do I need to do in the future in order to qualify? I wasn't saying, screw you for not qualifying me. I was saying, what can I do here? And of course, I got to look at it as a person of color, being like, why am I not considered at a higher level to be part of this? Because you're saying all these organizations, all these studios, all these conventions, all these showcases are saying constantly how they want to include more diverse outlets, more diverse people to be involved in here. Why was I not considered? So I said I covered CinemaCon last year. Why was I not approved, rather? I said I covered CinemaCon last year. Thanks to a friend, and I had a great time seeing all the studio panels and Top Gun Maverick. I hoped to qualify in 2023 with my own qualifications, being a Rotten Tomatoes Tomato Meter approved critic, being a Hollywood Critics Association board member, 50,000 followers total on social media, 27,000 plus subscribers on Outlaw Nation, with hundreds of thousands of views monthly on my YouTube channel, host of the Cinephiles podcast that gets 150 to 200,000 downloads monthly, and a resume that includes work for Collider full-time, The Tracking Board, Geek and Sundry, Screen Junkies, and more. And I said, for 8 years, I've worked hard to build a name in this business. And for the last 3 years, we've created some damn good content in the Outlaw Nation. So it's tough when people still think you haven't done enough and turn you down for a showcase that celebrates movies and purports to create pathways for diverse outlets. Having access to the Sony Pictures, WB Pictures, Disney Studios, Universal Pictures, Focus Features, Paramount Pictures, and Lionsgate panels, so I can report on their content and possibly network with their publicists, so I can be considered for their junkets, is invaluable, especially where I'm at, because they don't invite me to junkets. None of these big studios invite me to junkets. I apply, they don't, they turn me down all the fucking time. It's so frustrating. And because I'm not at a bigger outlet, or I haven't created 100,000 subscribers, I don't get consideration, or I don't personally know these publicists. That's another avenue. You have to personally know these publicists, and then they'll let you in with your 10,000 subscribers to have conversations. They get 177 views with their stars of their movies. And that's where I look at this situation. I go, that's unfair. That's unfair, and that's incorrect. Someone like me who get 1,000, 2,000 views on an interview with someone famous, or a star on your channel, and possibly more. Look at my Collider content. Look at how many views I got on all those interviews. It wasn't just because I was at Collider. It's because I'm good at what I do. And I don't mean that in a cocky way. I mean, I've worked hard to be good at what I do. And I think people like what I create. And so it's just like, okay, there are ways that I can burnish the resume to show you the numbers that I get when I'm a part of something. So it's just those things that I want to be a part of this. I want to break through these things, but for whatever reason, publicists don't want to, reach out or don't want to give me the opportunities or turn me down for interviewing the top talent. And it's frustrating, And I said, all I can do now is keep working hard to create great content that celebrates the medium of film on all my platforms. And hopefully one day my work won't be ignored anymore, and they'll be inviting me and the Outlaw Nation outlet to the table regularly. So, I thought that was a pretty decent way to put it together and present my case. As someone who has experience, as Aisha's pointing out, I mean, you interviewed The Rock twice, by the way, and various well-known actors. Your podcast gets quoted every week. What else do you need? That's correct. Exactly. I mean, we were quoted internationally this year. No, he's not. No, he's not, Thurl. He's going tomorrow. He is going tomorrow to see the Flash movie and then coming back, I think, in a day or two afterwards. So he's not skipping it. And if he was skipping it, why don't I get that slot? Right? So it's just super frustrating when you work so hard. And look, me speaking about it as a Latino, that's how I see things, right? Like, I'm a diverse person. There's not a lot of Latino critics who are not from other countries. Do you know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of us that get through. There was someone who got through. I don't want to mention his name, but he got through, even though he's pulled some pretty nefarious shit himself as a Latino, and really doesn't care about helping other Latinos, cares about helping himself, even though he paints himself as someone who wants to help other Latinos. It's bullshit. But he got in. And I'm like, why does he get in and I don't? What is it I need to do? Which is what I asked in numerous emails, because I sent follow-up emails. Hey, hoping you respond to this. Hey, just sent you an email the other day. Would love for you to respond to this. Until I finally got something weeks later, and it was a boilerplate response of, I wish we could accommodate everyone, but we can't. And I want to specifically what I didn't do to qualify. And I think I have a right to ask that. What is it that I didn't do? Why did you choose other people over me? I just want to know so that I can do better the next year, And I still have not gotten a response. And I did respond to that publicist and laid it out, hey, I appreciate the response. However, this is just disappointing because it's a general boilerplate response. I want to know why I specifically wasn't asked or wasn't given press credentials and what it is I need to do in order to qualify. When I look at other outlets who have these people with some shady histories in their past getting approved, why am I not getting approved? So, it's these kinds of things that you just, and there's a lot of people who haven't been approved. I will give credit. I mean, like, my brother's over there at Big Screen Leaks didn't get in. My brother's over there at Film Speak didn't get in. So it's surprising who gets in and who doesn't. And if I have to start a website, then tell me that, because I see people there with these janky websites and barely any views on their content who got qualified and press credentialed. Why doesn't a guy who's been working for 8 years, who's worked for numerous outlets and has started his own outlet 3 years ago, so generally a new outlet, why didn't I qualify? And as a first-generation American Latino, there's not a lot of us that run our own outlets. Why was I not qualified? It's different with someone who is from Colombia and is representing a Colombian news organization. That's not the same thing as a first-generation American Latino. It's two different things. And I love that they're all qualified and they go, but that doesn't, fill your diversity quota, for fuck's sake. It's got to be more than just that, because that's the easy choice. Because the films are global. But here domestically, you've got to create opportunities for people of color to go, And do I have to get 70,000 subscribers or 90,000 like some of these? Or do I have to put Outlaw Nation of Color on my name so that I can get to that number or get to that level to be considered? I don't want to be that obvious, But maybe I have to be. Maybe I should say, the Latino reviewer of color, I don't know. We shall see. So anyway, no, Christian's had a web. Yeah, it's something. So we'll see. Yeah, Merle, what Merle got, I didn't even know Merle got denied. See, that's just shocking. That's absolutely shocking. So it just makes no sense. And all we want is transparency. That's a problem with this industry, man. There's not enough transparency because the truth is it's personal. It's personal. And people don't want to tell you it's fucking personal, but it's absolutely personal. You got to kiss that ass. And it's so frustrating sometimes. It's like, no matter what you accomplish, if you don't kiss that right ass, and they're the same people who are, uplifting these movies about, individuality and everyone should get along and opportunities for everybody. And they're the first people to complain when they get turned down for something as publicists or don't get on a movie or don't get hired but then they turn around and do the same stuff. So it's just so frustrating because there's no logical way to, didn't you interview? Yeah, I interviewed Pedro Pascal. I interviewed all these people, and maybe that's what I've got to do every day now is just go through my old interviews and just start clipping out shorts and putting them up every day on the shorts on YouTube and on the TikTok and on these other places and just kind of get people to see that I have a lot of experience interviewing people of note and doing good work when I interview people of note. So we shall see. All right. Anyway, I think that's everything. So we got CinemaCon. We're going to be covering it here probably on the Geek Buddies, and certainly the hot mic. I think we're going to do it on Friday, the hot mic. So look out for that as we go along this week. But that's the situation there. Let me take one last break so I can put a commercial break in here, and then we'll wrap up things when I come back. All right, that's me coming back. Thank you so much for watching the show. So The Flash is going to drop tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see what the results or the reactions are going to be to The Flash. Oppenheimer is the rumor as well. Transformers, Rise of the Beast. And that's another reason. Transformers, who has spoken about Transformers franchise more than me, yet I can't get in to see this early screening of Transformers, Rise of the Beasts. That's the thing. It was like, maybe because the publicist doesn't like me. Maybe because the publicist doesn't know me. Maybe because the publicist doesn't make an effort to go and find these people who speak about this stuff. Maybe he or she looks at the thing, oh, only 27,000 subscribers, small potatoes, I don't want to help them. But maybe counter that with, oh, it's led by a Latino. Oh, I should actually give him give an opportunity to kind of interview so we can have more diverse voices in the room in these situations. So, I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm just kind of done being silent. I've taken shit on Twitter and I've taken shit on social media, and I'm kind of done with being afraid of all of that. I'm going to word my shit better, but I sure as fuck ain't going to back down. Those days are over, man. As Jeff loves to say, closed mouths don't get fed, and this mouth ain't going to be closed anymore. So when I see something, I'm going to go at it. When I get rejected for a junket, I am going to put that on Twitter and social media and say, so people can keep count at how many times I apply to be part of junkets and I don't get approved. How many times I apply to interview people who are the stars and don't get approved. I want to put that on there so the studios start to feel the pressure from my end. And hopefully a lot of you will retweet it and like it and comment on it and what have you. And that'll maybe generate some buzz around it. We shall see. I'm the little engine that could. That's how I view myself. And I think I can get to that top of the mountain with even more dedication and drive. So we'll see. You guys know it. You never doubt me because you never know what can happen. So Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I am going to see that on Thursday night. So look for my look for my out of theater reaction for that. And I think we can put up the reviews the next day. So I'll have my non-spoiler review up as well the next day. So this is the situation we're going in. What else? Do I have any other screenings this week? I think that's the only other screening I have this week is that one. So let me see real quick. Oh, I got the Star Wars Visions Volume 2. So I'll be watching those tomorrow. I got Peter Pan and Wendy. So I'll be watching that this week. And I've got Crater, which I'm not too familiar with, but I'm going to give that a look-see as well. So those are the things that I have, I think, right now in terms of screenings. And stuff has dropped on Apple TV Plus. The new Crowded Room has dropped there. Also the one with Tom Holland and High Desert, which is the Patricia Arquette one. The trailer debuted earlier last week late last week, which we already saw. High Desert, all 8 episodes of High Desert. I'm not allowed to give you a review. All I can say is this. That's all I'll say about High Desert. Let me see if there anything else. No, I think that's it in terms of screenings this week. That's what I have coming up. Yeah, I missed the Chevalier screening, which I'm mad about, and so I'll hopefully see that at some point. Oh, what's today? Is today? Oh well. Well, I missed another one tonight. I missed a Polite Society, which I really want to see when it comes out. You got to balance things out. And there's the book club, the next chapter that it's apparently coming out in a couple of days. So we'll see if I do that one. Jacob says, how do you qualify for screeners? You reach out to people, you email people, you email contacts. You find out from the studios who you're supposed to be hooked up with. You find the publicists in your area who cover those movies or cover that stuff. That's how you do it. That's how Dan did it in Oklahoma, where he's at in Oklahoma. He reached out to the people connected to the studios, found the contacts in the local area, and that's how he gets the screeners or gets invited to screenings for these movies. So that's how you do it, Jacob. It ain't rocket science. But don't be surprised if they turn you down, because again, they got to assess, do I really need to give this guy access to this stuff? What's his following like? What are his views like on his content? All of that matters. All of that is factored in. What's up, Dom? Dom says, are you watching Dave season 3 on FX Hulu? It's like a younger person's Curb Your Enthusiasm. Maybe not for you, actually. No, it isn't. I've tried to watch Dave. I could care less about that guy. I really do not think that dude is funny in any way, shape, or form. I don't like the show. The show gets on my nerves when I watch it. And I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's like Eminem if he was nerdy, and I'm just not. It's not really my jam. It's not really my. And I don't think it's even close to Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is one of my favorite shows ever made on television. For God's sakes. I mean, I will sometimes find Curb Your Enthusiasm clicks on TikTok, and I'm gone for like an hour and a half. That's how much I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, because that's essentially me as an old man. I'm telling you right now, anytime you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, that's Rocha in his 60s or 70s. 100% guaranteed. I would pull at least 3/4 of the shit he pulls on that show. 100%. I won't even deny it. I won't even deny it. Cooley High says, bro, I saw Evil Dead. It was gnarly, intense. It was, wasn't it? It was gnarly, bloody, and a lot of fun. Ed says, tweeted you Triple H debuting the new heavyweight belt. Wow. Oh, really? There's a new heavyweight belt? Hold on a second. Let's share this real quick. Ed's always tweeting me stuff. By the way, I'm going to warn you guys right now. I think I am going to break down and get the blue check mark, especially if it's going to give me more access and get my stuff more views, more content. I'll take the hits from the people who are upset about it. I don't care. I can't play the video, Haskell, so I'll have to find. Maybe I can just do Triple H belts and it'll pop up and I can see a picture. Here we go. All right, I'm going to bring the picture up. Guys, I can't do videos. Please remember when you tweet at me stuff that you want me to put up. I can't do videos. Here it is. Sean Rouse, Sap of Fightful putting up. Oh, wow. Look at that. Ooh, interesting. What do you all think? This looks like a ring and not a belt. It looks like a ring that you could wrap. It looks like the MJF ring. Is that a reason? Is there a reason for that? Or is MJF coming to WWE so they created this belt like in anticipation for MJF coming over there? Because it looks like that ring he uses when he knocks people out. So, I like this one. This belt looks like it's crowning, giving birth to the other championship belt, fully dilated World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, I'm not that impressed. I'm not that impressed with this belt. I don't know why the WWE isn't bigger. I don't know why it's surrounded by all this weird gold stuff. It's just, it's not my cup of tea. So, what can I tell you? But I'm sure we'll talk about it on Strong Style this weekend as well. Jacob Riley says, didn't recognize the acronym LOL. Sorry, boss. Heard HTA. I was confused. Have a good night, bro. Ready for Geek Buddies this week. For sure, yeah. We'll be doing Geek Buddies this week. We're going to have a lot of fun. Jimmy Bone says, Winston hurt. What happened? Hope he's okay. Yeah, Winston broke his leg playing dodgeball. So, yeah, I saw that news. I immediately tweeted him or texted him. And so he is on the mend. He had the surgery. He's on the mend. They're going to be performing this Friday, I think, at Flappers Comedy Club. So go and see him on crutches performing comedy. Try not to knock him down. So, yeah, that's the situation there with Winston. And a friend of mine said he's a black man in Los Angeles. Why is he playing dodgeball? Don't black men have enough to dodge in LA? And he was right, 100% right. So I thought that was very interesting as well. So there we go. All right. Yeah. Joseph wants to know if I'm watching Will Trent. No, we're 6 episodes into Will Trent. It's okay, man. It started out strong and now it's kind of been like, oh, okay, this is a little more simpler than I thought, but it is getting a second season. So shout out to them. We're going to finish watching Beef. Y'all, That is a good fucking show. That's what I'll tell you. I did some more research on David Cho and the work he did in 2017 and the stuff like that he did, that he was really confronting his mental health issues. And it kind of puts the other stuff in perspective that he said in 2014. I don't think it was good that they were trying to, copyright strike that video. I think that's a bad sign to put out there. But I was able to kind of balance things out a little bit differently in my head about the situation. So I started watching Beef, and we ripped through the first 8 episodes over the weekend, and we're going to finish the 2 episodes tonight. And I think we might even finish Perry Mason tonight. We'll see how that goes. So, yeah. All right. Yeah, Ryan Trabucco. Rocha finally got a chance to catch the show live. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you hanging out, man. Appreciate it. Marina wants to know, what did you hear? But did you hear about Tamora Morrison's comments on Mando with season 3? I did, but we're not going to talk about it here. That is going to be on the Jedi Way. Kevin Smith sent us the comments, me and Laura, today. So we are going to talk about it on Jedi Way on Wednesday. So look for that episode. We're going to talk about it. We might even talk about it on Geek Buddies. I don't know. We're going to depend on when we record Geek Buddies, but certainly we're going to talk about it then. So keep your mind on that. And let's take one last look at something and see if there's anything, if anybody is posting anything about it. Any videos? No videos. No videos. Rhino will appear in Craven. The Rhino appears in Craven. Craven will be rated R. The first trailer for Craven will debut in theaters this summer, and the first footage from Craven was revealed. Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm super fucking pissed. Across the Spider-Verse will apparently take place 1 year after Into the Spider-Verse. There was the first trailer for Neil Blomkamp's Gran Turismo is being shown at CinemaCon. There we go. So that's all news. I'm really going to try to keep it together through the next few days on this situation, because I am. Oh, and here's the logo for Craven. If you guys haven't seen it, let me share that real quick. This is Craven the Hunter. There's the logo. And apparently Eric Davis got a chance to watch. Of course, he's Fandango. Of course, he's going to get a chance to watch this stuff. He watched Craven the Hunter, which opens with Craven biting a dude's nose off. This thing looks brutal, and it ends with the introduction of Rhino. There you go. That's the situation there for the teaser, which probably won't be seen till this summer. So, all right. That's enough for me. I got to stop now. I'm going to get upset. All right. Y'all are great. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and watching me live. I appreciate it. Please remember to hit a like on this video, share it on your social media, subscribe to the channel down below. That's a really big thing. Subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that bell button. Leave a comment down below as well. Some of the stuff I talked about, your opinions, your feelings about Tucker Carlson's and Fox News going their way, consciously uncoupling, Don Lemon being fired from CNN, the box office stuff, the CinemaCon stuff, Aaron Rodgers stuff. Just let me know what you want to talk about down there in the comment section below. You guys are amazing. Thanks so much for joining me. I love you all madly. Thanks for letting me read my tweet thread, which I appreciated. And you guys are amazing. And look for all the content coming this week from the Outlaw Nation for sure. And let's keep growing, y'all. Let's keep growing till they can't ignore us. Let's keep growing till they can't ignore us. And if you want to help us grow on the Outlaw Nation, DM me, reach out to me. If you got skills that can help us grow, you got ability to make shorts, create videos, create content, do anything, graphics, whatever, I'm open to it. As long as you understand, I have a limited amount of resources, but you will take ownership of how we build the Outlaw Nation and create it and build it out and do more and more great quality content that'll attract more and more people. And of course, you'll get verbal credit and on-screen credit for any help you do there. So just throwing that out there. All right. You guys are awesome. You're the best. And I will talk. And don't forget about joining the Patreon as well for anybody who wants to support us and keep elevating everything we do here on the channel. Patreon.com/John Rocha. Join us there. Tomorrow, we'll be doing a hangout for any of my patrons who are here. Discord hangout tomorrow. I think Zoom hangout on Wednesday, because Thursday I'm going to be at Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So Discord hangout tomorrow, probably 5 o'clock. And then on camera hangout on Zoom at 5 o'clock, probably, or 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, letting you know. All right. I love you guys. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your Monday night or Monday day, depending on when you're watching this. And I'll talk to you next time with a brand new episode here live of The Nation. Peace.